What's up? What's up? This your girl, Rebel Ray. I am here, and I'm your hostess with the mostest. We're coming live on the Pruned Tree Podcast from Huddle Co and Create. I am sitting here with the co-owner of Matt Eggman.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Live and in effect and in the flesh.
Listen, and I love it because you know what? This is going to be an awesome podcast. We're going to be touching on a lot of different stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I want to tell you happy Juneteenth.
Yes.
Let's go.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Pride Month. So
Yes.
It's a doozy of a day today.
Listen, we freeze. Us free. For real though. I'm thankful for the ancestors on what they're giving for us today. And when I think about picking cotton, I'm not made for that.
Oh gosh.
I mean, I look like I'm built to be in the field and stuff, you know, but I'm not. I couldn't be picking cotton like that. I would have been hit somebody over the head and ran away. That's just who I am.
I have a feeling like I would be good at it, you know, because like I like to figure out how things work, you know, and whenever I watch, you know, trauma documentaries or movies based in trauma to pick at Black folks' trauma, you know, I always look at like the ins and outs of it all, you know, and you know, and I know I tap into my ancestors whenever I'm trying to figure stuff out.
Right.
But if I had the cotton field in front of me, I'm like, all right, let's figure this shit out. I want to be the best. I want to come in first place. Like I want to get the most. And
listen, I tell everybody too. My people though, they was in the big house.
Oh yeah.
You can't tell everybody that because they like, you was in the big house, and your folks. Well, we was in the big house. We was feeding y'all all the bacon ends.
I feel like my family was outside. We were definitely outside.
No.
We're always in these streets where we love being outside. I love the sun. You know, being inside too much makes my skin crawl and I get cabin fever. You know?
I'm glad that we could be lighthearted, but really believing in the history of understanding that we've been fighting for our freedom for now 400 years since the inception of the North Americans and the Puritans touching down on indigenous and also Africana. A lot of people don't know that the white lion touched down right before that pilgrim ship did. And the Mayflower, right? Yeah. So, but a lot of people don't know about the white lion. But we were historical and we were here. We were here with our indigenous people. And I think about Juneteenth and I think about the civil rights movement and everything that was given for the civil rights movement as well. And that was only 60 years ago. Segregation, let me say that one more time. Segregation into schools was only 60 something years ago. And I remember, do you remember segregation here? Your mom must have went through segregation. Did she go to Edison?
My mom went to Edison, grew up on the South Side. The stories that she shared with me aren't from white folks, but surprisingly, it was from other Black women.
Wow.
You know, because my mom is fair skinned. Her hair went down to her back, past her bra. And so she has a lot of trauma that she had to like later in life get over. But just being a kid in the South Side and outside of that, being in public and seeing how my mom was being treated, if it was at the public library or at the grocery store. I remember a very funny memory of sticking up for my mom at Central Mart in downtown in South Stockton.
Central Mart
right across from
wow.
Edison. There was this old white lady that like kept messing with my mom and pushing the cart out of the way. And I remember the only like derogatory term I knew at the time was stupid. You know, like that's how young I was.
That's right.
So I got pissed, and my mom didn't see what was going on, and this lady kept pushing us out of the way, and I was like, stupid. Like I was just like, I kept getting mad because this woman kept, you know, pushing our cart out of the way. You know, so there's so many times where I witnessed, you know, my mom being treated a certain way, and it kind of formed my view of not only Black folks but Black women specifically. And if anyone knows me and if anyone's ever worked with me, like I am truly intentional about the space I create for Black women, because energetically and spiritually, whenever I create space for Black women, I'm high key creating space for my mother.
Yes, Ashe. Thank you for sharing that beautiful story. The Cradle of Civilization started in our wombs. And you are a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
I just want to really let the audience and our listeners know, if you're listening, you can tune in on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. This is going to be an awesome interview. And we're going to be touching on many different things, some hard conversations tonight, some that are needed. And a lot of people, and I guess I'll go back to when I first met you. It was so amazing. I didn't know if I was attracted, or I didn't know what it was. I was like, is he supposed to be my baby daddy? What's going on? And then he's like, you are barking up the wrong tree. And I was like, okay, I'll try later. Look, never know with me.
I have a list of potential babies, mamas. If I had $1 for any time someone's ever asked me to like donate my sperm or something,
or have your baby.
I'm a very rich man.
Listen,
very flattered to all
you would be a very rich man with very much legacy. It's so funny to have so many trees barking up the wrong tree. But it's the spirit that you give. It's the way that you're kind-hearted and how you support even this building. So I really want to talk about this building, because this building is in tune with Maddie. If anybody knows about Huddle, the history behind Huddle, Maddie and his coworker Eric really know about the rich history and the stories and the ghosts that are in this building.
Yeah, there are a lot of spirits in this building. I felt it when I first worked on bringing Huddle over here in 2017. I heard stories of folks who used to work in this building, of people falling down the elevator shaft. The doors would open, people would walk in and they'd fall right down to the bottom. And after those stories, I'm like, this building is a living organism, and we need to treat it as such. So whenever I walk into the building every single morning, the strangest thing happens. I walk into the lobby, the elevators open up automatically, and in my head and in my heart, I say, "Good morning, building.
Good morning,
building. Like, thank you so much for welcoming me."
Ashe.
So I try my best intentionally and consistently to be in the basement, be on the roof, be on every floor, because I know what the energy is like when I'm away for a long period of time.
Oh my God. So let me tell you about this energy. The first time I walked into this building, I found my tribe, literally. When you're going through a spiritual shift, you're finding a refuge. You're finding people who are looking for higher consciousness, who are attuned with spirit, who understand growth, who understand maturity and forgiveness and love and kindness. Because oftentimes those people on the spectrum are also just as ferocious as they are kind. And practicing that kindness is the way I'm learning to heal myself, from inner trauma, inner childhood trauma, rejection, misunderstandings. So I wanted to always find a space that I could be that gets me. And here I go, becoming the executive director of Reinvent South Stockton Coalition back in 2022, and coming to Huddle and being like, damn, this is a whole vibe. The colors, the vibrant, the spirit, the welcoming spirit that you keep in here. And oftentimes Maddie will be downstairs, very supportive and open to anybody that's walking by these doors. It's almost like a church corner house where you're the clergy and people are coming in and they come by and they tell you all sorts of things.
Well, I love the fact you touched on kindness, because that's what we lead with here. We lead with love, we lead with kindness. Physically, this building is in downtown. Right? And when you think of any city, when you think of the heart of a city, you think of downtown, right? And when you think of the center of downtown, you think of Sound King and Weber. So all of the energy, all of the love, all of the kindness, all of the light that we create here is all happening in the center of the heart of Stockton. So we don't take that responsibility lightly. So we're intentional about all of the energy that we create here, because we know it's going to reverberate out into the rest of the city. Right, that's the purpose of the heart. It's to pump the blood through the body. And the body we're pumping blood through and love and light through is the body of Stockton.
Oh my God, I'm just gonna say it because I'm petty. You would have been an excellent mayor. I said it. Anyway, we're going to get to that too, about the politics of the city. When we come here too, you often find that there is an underground movement and also an on the top movement, a very proud and supportive LGBT thriving community here, a very Black and brown woman-led business, spiritual and healers that actually work outside of this building. And I have never seen just in one co-op working space that many individuals that are in line with one another. What you're doing here is very powerful, Maddie.
It's crazy that you say that because that was never the intention. It just kind of organically happened. You know, we just celebrated 10 years last Wednesday, and there's been so much energy in and out of the space, from like small business incubators to like hackathons to, you know, the introduction of the UBI project that Mayor Tubbs did when he was in Stockton and in the mayoral seat. And so over the years, it's like the space has told us who it wants to have in this space.
The space has told us.
And now when
That's
I
crazy.
give tours, and I just did a tally a couple of months ago, with 27 offices in this building, most of the folks who rent private space from us at Huddle are women of color.
Let's go.
So not only did we create a safe space for women, but we created a safe space for Black and brown women.
Yes.
You know, they can do business, they can meet with folks, they don't got to worry about being groped or SA'd or anything like that. And then on top of that, at an energetic level, you know, everyone is doing the work, you know, so it's never been about the quantity and making sure that we had butts in every single seat. We wanted to make sure we created a space for the folks who are actually doing the work in our community to feel safe and feel productive and inspired to continue to doing the work that they're doing. And you being one of them.
Thank you so much, Maddie. And thank you for providing this space. Listen, right now in the space, you have created so many different elements to Huddle. And walk us through, because we're talking about, again, this is the Pruned Tree. So we really want to talk about what it actually takes to be so healed. Because I remember you shared that with me. You used to have a little anger problem. But to be so healed that you are allowing others to just be in space, thrive, and it's taken off. So many different ideas that we're needing now to rebuild this infrastructure that we're seeing in Stockton.
It's funny you asked that. If I can boil it down to one thing that helped me heal or inspired me to heal, it's my relationship with my family. You know, they're my rock, they're my foundation. We move mountains together when we're all on the same wavelength. So I needed to figure out what I needed to heal in order for me to find my way back to my family, which is like my mom and my dad and my siblings. And I needed to heal that relationship first before I tried to do anything outside of that. And then you fast forward to this past Sunday for Father's Day, you know, it was beautiful. We just shot the shit. We just hung out, ate, swam, watched Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. And it's beautiful. And it's that one space that I can be in where I don't have to worry about this persona or a different facet or making quotas or anything like that. So now that I'm in that space and it's a healed space for me, I have this, I have the capacity for me to do the work outside of that.
There it is.
It's a piece of cake now because I know where my foundation is. I know where my strength comes from. You know, and
how long did it take?
Well, oh man, we're in 2024 right now. I had a whole 20 years of, and I'm still going through that healing with my family, just to rebuild that trust again. Man, it's taken a good 3 years, you know, but I play the long game. You know, slow and steady wins the race. The way my family loves is hard and it's true and it's visceral. And when you cross them, it takes a while to gain that trust back, right? So, and I'm the same way.
So I'm hearing some self-accountability still on your part as well. So it was not necessarily just you know, rebelling out. Imagine, and I know you can say this now that you're healed, imagine just being queer, growing up in the church, right? Something both me and you have in common, and having to be accepted for your creativity and not being in the guidelines of what they thought was safe or was, looked down as in church. How did you heal from that church trauma?
That's a big one. Because my formative years, my teens, I grew up on the South Side. I went to St. George's. I was part of youth group, went to retreats, got to see Dylan Delvo. Shout out Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
I got to experience Dylan in his first year as youth pastor, a youth minister for St. George's. So that was my upbringing. And I was a community builder at our retreat. So it's kind of fitting what I'm doing today. But it took me realizing that my relationship with God, with Spirit, with the universe was mine. Ooh. And it wasn't anybody else's.
Yes.
I had the most turmoil, and I tripped the most when I tried to fit in the box that I thought it would make everybody happy around me. So when I accepted the fact that that relationship was mine, which was instilled by my mother, mind you, who converted to Catholicism to marry my dad, that's the take I have on it today. Because I'm such a spiritual person, I'm able to hold space for everybody, whatever they believe, whatever book they follow, whatever scripture leads their life, without trying to evangelize or persuade them to see the world the way I see it.
Exactly. And I think, and I, not to just cut you off there, but when you use the word evangelize, it is by the essence in which you live. A lot of people think that missionary work or that evangelism is something that has to be loud. You got to go around. It's by the way you live in front of everybody. Scriptures say, present your body a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. We always thought that was just holy. We ain't doing no fornicating. We ain't doing. It's also about the intention of your emotional being, your spiritual being, being able to support and and connect with the people of God, and no one is excluded from being of God's family. That's the problem.
That's a very beautiful way to look at it. Not only did my mom have some really great quotes on how I should go about life in the spiritual body, but my dad being a deacon for the Catholic Church and him knowing scripture and all these words and theology. And the one thing that sticks out of my mind the most when it comes to my spiritual journey is, like he said, Matthew, whatever you choose to do or however you choose to live your life, make sure every step that you take is with God.
There it is.
Every step. It doesn't matter what I do or who I'm sleeping with or who I'm dating or anything like that. If I'm doing everything that I'm doing, I'm walking with God. That's it.
So, and there's always a little bit of Colonel Minus too in Rebel Ray. Who are you sleeping with? God!
I am single.
Okay. Are you looking? What's going on with that?
I am extremely available right now.
Okay.
I've been on a couple dates.
But there's demons watching too. There's demons watching. You better manifest what you want, because people are trying to hold on to somebody now.
You guys know who you are, and. But one of the things I've learned, and this is a lesson I got from my mother, is that I live a big social life, a big professional life, but then a small personal life.
There it is.
And the kind of relationship I'm looking for is
those are great boundaries.
That I could escape all of this, and just to be with him in our own space and live a quiet life together.
I love it.
No one in my business, and
you and your plant babies.
Yeah, my plant babies.
Maybe some fur babies.
Yeah, maybe some fur babies and traveling.
Yes.
And being outside and just living our little life.
Yes.
And but I didn't get to the point of knowing what I actually wanted because I realized I was holding space for someone, right? So there was always a gap that I thought I needed to be filled, but when I realized that I was basically a pick-me, I was just like, wait a minute, let me pick myself.
That's right.
Let me put myself into that and see. So now I'm a whole ass person in this world.
Yes.
Now knowing that I deserve someone who's a whole ass person in their world. There it is. And it's not completing each other, but two human beings who are going through life parallel.
Yes, and I love what you said, because I think about Jada in the Red Table Talk, and she talked about how Will and her had to show up as a whole as person to be that whole. Yeah. You can't show up as just a half person, healed and waiting. That's trauma bonding, 101.
And then you think about what you deserve. Like, I know I deserve someone who has done the work.
Yeah.
I deserve someone who's gone through therapy and tackled all their demons, because I'm not a Captain Save-A-Ho. I'm sorry.
Listen,
I can't
we can't save no.
I can't go backwards.
I want to be saved.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, we can't. I catch the vibe there.
I can't go backwards. I've done too much work to go backwards. I want to go forward.
There it is. And we getting too old now.
Yeah,
and groceries are $550 like every 2 weeks. Listen,
I've been doing it. I've been raw dogging life for 43 years.
Listen.
You know, I'll be 44 this year.
Yes.
And it's I've been doing it by myself this whole entire time. But it would be nice.
It would be
to
nice
be able to split some of these bills.
Listen, split it. And we can hold hands and skip to the grocery store too. Listen, I'll even let you pass the basket. But the way my pocketbooks is set up with 2 kids, you know, in this inflation, living in California where they tax you for the air.
Yeah, it's
literally
tough. It's tough. And even though I love doing this work, I mean, it doesn't pay a lot. You know, I always tell folks who are entrepreneurs, if they're in it for the money, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. This is not the thing for you, right?
Yes.
But luckily, we're finally taking those steps to start a nonprofit, and
I love it. So let's go there.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you have a plethora of different things that are going on here at Huddle. You're always invested, even in the tenants that are actually here, the members that are here, their events as well. You host events. Let's talk about where we're going in 2024, 2025.
So the goal is to be able to position ourselves to give back to those who we notice that are doing the work that we've been doing for the past 10 years, and to make it a little easier.
There it is.
A little bit more accessible. So I think of community organizers that are up and coming, and I think about all the costs and all of the paperwork and all the permitting and all of that jazz. The ultimate goal is for this foundation that we're going to start through Huddle is to assist the next generation.
There it is.
Right now, we're torchbearers,
okay.
You know, and this nonprofit will be the proverbial passing of the torch, and to make it easier for folks to do the work.
Yes.
So for lack of a better term, baptizing the future.
Come on, man.
So making
Let's
sure
go.
that whatever work we're doing right now, we just want to make it easier for the next one, so that all of this work that's happening in Stockton and in our community can continue.
Yes.
And it's not one person's legacy, it's our legacy as a community.
I love it.
So 20, 30 years from now, you don't want to be like in my 60s and 70s,
right.
You know, in the corner at Cast Iron or something, be like, oh, I remember when we started all this,
right.
You know, and just
you want to be a part of the movement. Don't be on the sidelines.
Oh, no, 100%, you know, and making sure that we're having the conversation right now of diversity and inclusion, so that it's just innate and part of our DNA 10, 15, 20 years from now.
There it is. And part of the culture of the DNA of Huddle Co-Create. Now, tell us about a little bit of the events that you have hosted here that were very significant. Ube Match was just
Ube Matcha was beautiful. It was hosted by Community Hub, which is an AAPI-led cohort that intentionally creates space.
And what's AAPI?
Oh, Asian American Pacific Islander and Desi community.
Okay.
That was in May for Asian American Heritage Month, which is a huge success. Huddle was one of 3 spaces that hosted an event in downtown Stockton on a very hot day, but it was a beautiful hot day. All of the events that have come through Huddle probably started back in 2016 when we started Golden Hour Project, which was an intentional project to gather all of our photographers together to capture the beauty that the city had to offer, because during that time, the media was just talking about the murders and all of that jazz. So we wanted to change that narrative. Fast forward to, oh man, there's been so many different types of events that have happened in Huddle, but recently it's been The Light. The Light started about this month. It'll be a year ago now. It was an intentional space that we created for artists, specifically jazz artists, to shine their light in downtown Stockton. We wanted to create space without having to utilize an algorithm. And then we wanted to contribute to the narrative that it's safe to come to downtown Stockton and pass a decent hour. Because it's not starting until 9 p.m. And that first time we had it, RC, we didn't get out of here till like 3 a.m.
Right.
So imagine being in downtown Stockton on a Friday night, 2 a.m. and all you hear is this beautiful jazz music and people singing.
And I don't have to imagine it. I was one of those that actually came to downtown.
You shared your light with us many times. It was beautiful. I get to see you like bebopping out here, like you're feeling because your office is right down the hall. You're like, give me that mic.
Give me that mic.
Yeah. So that's
but
just
always
one of the
wanted
things,
and supported. But just remembering how downtown used to boom. And it's designed that way, you all. It didn't used to be this way. And I think we got to get back to that, loving the space that we're in, putting creatives in spaces, our city government really appreciating the enterprise that potentially can be brought back down to Stockton. I mean, we're here in the largest port. I think it's the largest 11th port.
The most inland port of California.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And our port goes all the way to San Francisco. A lot of people don't know that. It's one of those very important ports that has a lot of history as well, all the way back to the gold rush. And I really am very much interested in some of the historical spaces that you are in category in, right? In proximity. You got the Fox Theater. You got
the Bank of Stockton building. You got the Crest building. You got the Elks building. You got the California building.
Right. And so you were privy to see some of the movie shootings by Leonardo DiCaprio, who was just here. Wasn't that cool?
Yeah, Tiana Taylor was down here. It was cool because within the hustle and bustle of all the work that we're doing, like when we get word that there's like a movie being filmed kitty corner to our building, you're just like, cool.
That's
awesome.
Cool.
You know, like
we in this thing.
Yeah, and Stockton is its energy is magnetizing right now. And another an example of folks coming to Stockton is there's some community organizers that came down from Sacramento. Like these are like my heroes.
Wow.
I went to go see them speak at a symposium about placemaking and placekeeping.
Yes.
And now they've shifted into real estate and now are coming to Stockton to see what the opportunity is, but not from a lens of let's come and recreate what we did in Sacramento here in Stockton. It's more about, okay,
how do we uplift this culture here?
100%. How can we make what you guys are doing easier because we see you guys are in line with what we've been doing? So to kind of get that validation from folks coming down here on a whim, not me reaching out and having and talking stories about what we're doing and going back and forth with all these buzzwords, like, whoa, we're doing the same thing.
There it is.
Right. And it was great to know that we're in line with Sacramento and what they're doing over there. And we're hoping that you spoke about it being the most inland port and how activated it used to be back in the day. Historically, we're on the precipice of that right now.
There it is.
This month in July and August, this is going to be a brat hot boy summer, hot girl summer, hot baby summer. I'm working with a lot of folks who are being intentional about getting people out of their homes and off their asses and dancing because we need to redefine what it means to celebrate as a community.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember the times of going out like Club Envy and Brandenburgs and all that. There was a time when we were growing up in the early aughts that whenever you went out to a bar or something, it meant it was going to get shot up.
Oh, no.
Right. So bars wouldn't close, clubs closed down. But I think now we're at a point to where we're ready to go back outside again.
We ready.
Right. And the folks, there's so many outlets. I've been ready. Right. So after hosting the Light for the past year, people have come up to both me and Dante and say, we need to dance. We need to get out there. We need to move our body. So stay tuned. There's more things to come in July to get everybody up and moving. I'm working with some DJs and some drum circles and all of that to bring movement and flow back to downtown Stockton.
Okay. I love it. And we're going to pause for a little bit. And you know what I do. I always love to plug our events here on our Church Lady community announcements. So today I have, we're talking about Pedal for Peace. It's the next upcoming largest bicycling event of our communities coming together to show solidarity against gun violence.
Yes.
And so Pedal for Peace will be hosted by MC Thug Dork and also DJ Goodface, performance by Rico Too Smooth and more. We'll be having free food, raffles, live music, jumpers for kids, entertainment, and more. You can get free tickets if you visit Advance Peace. There's so many of us here, including Reinvent South Stockton, Balloons Over Bullets, Safe Kids, Cal Fresh, 209 Cares, Bad Planet, the City of Stockton, and also Public Health Services that are coming together to bring this to you. And it's important that we build synergy in this space. It will be right here at Weber Avenue. It'll start at 10 a.m. You can bring all types of your bicycles. I believe there's going to be a rollout by our Lowrider Bicycle Club here.
Yeah.
But every type of bicycle is welcome. They're going to be a slow ride. It's not going to be a popping wheelie type situation unless you're into that. But it'll be June 29th at 10 a.m. located right here at downtown Stockton at Weber Avenue. Also, there's a lot of things going on with our levee situation.
Okay.
And so they're trying to build synergy right now in Western Ranch, French Camp, and Lathrop to bring people out this Thursday, June 20th, because you have to return your ballot if you're leaving in these areas on what we can do to support our defense on our levee. So we have, I guess, 100-year levee, and the 100-year levee is now at its limit. And so because of the droughts, the rain that comes in, we're really, on the cusp of saying, hey, if this levee situation gives out in those areas, it'll be about 20,000, maybe 30,000 people without homes if those levees flood. So please come out and let your voices be heard. A lot of people want to talk about what the impacts of the state flood protections and regulations, including your retail and commercial developments. They're going to be talking about FEMA remapping and mandatory flood insurance for those homes over there. And so the San Joaquin Area Flood Control Agency is proposing a levee improvement, and state and federal agencies are expected to pay 77% of the project cost. All of the other percentage remaining would be the property owners. Okay. So a lot of you all, if you live in the area, it is a very large area. Looking at this map, please come out, let your voices be heard. And so we're super excited about what we've been doing in the community. But as Stockton is building all this synergy, we got these elections coming.
It's an election year, baby.
It's an election year.
Yeah.
And we've seen a shift of what people want, but there's also a lot of negative targeting that seemingly people are saying is happening. I also want to go back to my petty ass comment about your willingness to step up this year at the beginning of primaries and actually putting your name in for that ballot of mayor. And I think about that and I go, wow, what it came down to, what we could have had versus.
It's an interesting journey. It was something that was new to me. I always told myself, because doing this work, you can't help but get people who come up to me and say, oh my God, you're amazing. You should run for office. You should run for mayor. And I always said, oh no, I'm not that. But if it ever organically found me, then I would consider it. Right. So that moment did come. That moment came last summer, where I was deliberating and discerning if I was going to do it. And I low-key pulled the trigger, and I trusted the fact that there were people around me that were a lot smarter than me in the arena of political science and just politics, local politics, and went out the gates, guns a-blazing, and had some really heavy, important, crazy conversations with some local politicians and just deciding if I was going to do this or not. But there were some folks who were a lot smarter than me that gave me the advice that for what I wanted to do, it probably wasn't the best time to do it. And so I trusted their advice, right? So I backed away and, recalibrated and thought, okay, let's just, I'm new to this. Let me just see how the sausage is made.
And let me tell you, we saw the sausage, the baker, the butcher, and everything else at them forums.
Thank you so much for inviting me to
listen. You
moderate.
Did such a wonderful
job. That was
job.
Such an honor.
And I was tickled on the floor, rolling in the back. I had to have that straight missionary face that I have in church because we was in church. And when you got to shouting decorum, way you held that podium, I said, "Oh, he gonna take control there, man. Take control."
Make sure that everyone had a space to actually speak their mind without without the rhetoric, the negative rhetoric and the gunslinging.
Oh my
right?
goodness. It was a lot of gunslinging.
And then making sure that, okay, if you have this platform, let us all know as Stocktonians what you're going to do.
There it is.
Instead of deflecting on what this person isn't doing, right?
Or how much money this person got.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because as Stocktonians, we don't really give a shit. Like, what are you doing now? We have X amount of months until the election, right? Now is the time to be outside and show us what you're made of. Don't wait until you're voted into office in order to do some work. The timing is now, and we're all watching. I will say that this election cycle is the most different because so many people are engaged.
They're engaged.
People are engaged in races in districts they don't even belong
in. They don't even belong in. And I was out there with our Chicano and Latino community, and shout out to Sangria Car Club. And also Angel Hernandez is leading our advocacy and our parks initiatives with our handball courts. No. But, even the Vatos and all of the homies and everybody was talking like, what do you know about this person, RC? What do you know about this person? And for a lot of y'all don't know, Rebel Ray is my stage name here. But RC, I go by RC Thompson when I do this organizing and activist and advocacy work here for Reinvent and in Stockton. And people are excited, and I think it has to be a lot of education on too, what our new rights are when it comes to our reentry family members that are coming back. Y'all can vote. A lot of people don't know that. They just write it off and say, well, I'm not going to vote. But you can vote.
That's what I love, the fact that you're bringing this up, because we actually have the power locally. We always had the power. When we think about the national elections, presidential, all of that, it just seems so far away from us where it seems like my vote isn't going to matter. But when you vote locally, it actually matters. Just imagine if every city in America realized how much power they actually had to vote good people into the seats. We have a moment to learn if it's the system that's broken, or if it's the corrupt people in the system that makes it broken.
It's the time now.
It's the time. I would love to see if the system actually works, if there are good, uncorrupt people in these seats actually advocating for the folks that voted for them.
The system needs to be disrupted. So we know that there are some laws and policies that still stand that provoke certain entities and individuals from voting. We saw it in Georgia. Let's not play around with that. Miss Abrams had to go against that, even running for governor. I hope you remember that. And that was only a couple of years ago.
How many people came out and all this oppression, it's real, So I urge everybody leading up to November to figure out, okay, am I registered? Because I had to find out right before primaries that my address didn't qualify. So a week before primaries, I had to go right across the street to the registrar's office and register again, right? So make sure you're registered to vote, make sure you know who you're voting for. And once you know who that is, do some research. These candidates are willing to sit down and have a cup of tea with you. Or if you want to host something at your home and invite them over, it's a time for them to answer questions and to share why they're the best candidate for this. And be fair, be impartial, and vote everybody from both sides of the aisle. And because Stockton is made up of a lot of great human beings, but the latter also exists. But for some reason, the latter are the ones who want to run for office the most, right? So there are some key folks running in some key races that want to connect with all of you folks. So as folks who are voting age and have all autonomy and the capacity to change the narrative of Stockton, you don't know what you don't know. So go out and seek this information. I posted on all of my social media platforms, do your research, people. Ask who these folks are. Don't just vote for somebody because you're an ex-police officer and a site tells you just to vote for this person. No.
Or generationally, where, growing up, we voted Republican because we were Christian. And my parents was like, no, you better vote this way. So once I left my parents' home at the age of, I believe, 19 it was, I told myself, no, I'm going to vote for who the right person is. And a lot of times we're seeing also in the Democratic race, but also on the Republican or even conservative side, there is still some iffiness there when it comes to certain things we want to see in our communities. You have to pay attention to the person. What the person is saying. Do they have a track record of showing up?
Are they showing up? Are they showing up to council meetings? Are they involved now, even though they're not even in office? And if they are in office and running for their seat again, how active in these streets are they? Are they outside? Are they outside? Are they?
Can you get a hold of them? As a constituent, you should be able to get a hold of them. They work for you. Your voice should be lifted up and heard. And there's ways of doing that. We want to always maintain our respect to those that are seating and those that are running for candidacy. And a lot of that disrespect has been going on. There is a culture where there's vultures and trolls that troll you on the internet and act out and show themselves on the internet, which don't show a real emotional response at times. That's the best.
It's strategic.
But it's very strategic. It's very strategic. And where we come from on the South Side,
say to my face,
you gotta meet me outside. And a lot of times that can be hard for now said candidates. What I believe though that needs to happen too is that we have to make it up in our mind as community what we want. The infrastructure has been broken, and I tell people that all the time. But that's not a bad thing. That means that those that were disrupting don't have to disrupt as much. It's so funny because people call me a disruptor and I go, no, I have to be a strategist. I have to be someone that's creative on being an empowered thinker outside of problems that I have to solve or be a part of.
It's one thing to talk about the problems, right? And we can talk about the problem. We actually know what our trauma is. We know what's wrong with Stockton, but now is the time to be delusional about what type of Stockton we want to live in, right? Be delusional, manifest it, and pray about it, dream it up.
There it is.
Imagine Stockton being in the blank canvas, and we can make it into whatever city we want to make it. But we need to start talking about what we want to see change, right? Some quick tools, because I know people always talk about infrastructure. There's potholes. There's this and this and that. For those of you who don't know, there's an app called Ask Stockton. Right. And part of that is if you download this app, it has all the different sectors of the city, and you can put in a request for things to be fixed. If you see a dead animal on the side of the road, if you see a broke down car on the side of the road, if anything, you put in anything that has to do with code enforcement, a derelict building, something like that. And the city has 72 hours to respond to you.
And that's a ticket way they actually track what it needs to be done. We do have different incapabilities in this moment because we have a lot of vacant jobs within the city that we need to cover.
Including that need to be filled by Stocktonians. Right.
There's
a high percentage of folks who are making a lot of money with the city that don't even live here in Stockton.
And they don't understand the culture that we're trying to build again.
And that money's being spent elsewhere and not in our own community.
Right. In our contracts as well. And I tell people that if you're going to work in Stockton, breathe here in Stockton, and connect and commit to the people of Stockton, have dinner, have lunch with us, have coffee, spend your money here. And I see that with our Bay Area transplants. I mean, even our Southern California transplants.
East Coast transplants too. They're intentional about where they spend their money.
There it is.
Some of my friends who are East Coast transplants that made it aware to me that a large percentage of folks who work for the city who are making the top tier amount don't even live in Stockton, right? So it's going to take at least 10 or 15 years to kind of cycle that out, But now I want to go back to us.
It's building the pipeline,
building the pathway for that, right? And making sure that we understand we have the power. All along we've had it, right? If we want to see more things for the youth, okay, that's one thing to say that, but what do we want to see? Ask the youth, folks between their 20s and 40s, right? More nightlife, more safe things to do.
Right.
What does
I talked to the Bay Area transplants here, and a lot of them were like, we would stay in Stockton. A lot of us, they live in Lathrop and Manteca, but they don't want to go way over the Altamont, or they don't want to go way over to Sacramento. They would love to stay in the area in the vicinity to have drinks with their friends and actually come here. But there has to be some investment here to bring people. And I'm looking at candidates that can do that, right? Because I want to thrive in a city that has something for my children and I to do. We don't think about the family unit. You got to think about families here you want to attract families and jobs. You got to think about the people that's going to be living in the family unit.
Yeah, I will say that Stockton has gotten a lot better with creating a festival culture.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like festivals like Flavor Fest, just went to the Juneteenth festival over the weekend, Ube Matcha Fest, the Oban, all these cultural festivals. There's the Pride Festival this Saturday. So on the festival tip, we're doing a lot better, right? And just getting people outside to enjoy outside, enjoy Weber Point with their family. So there's some momentum there. But one of the reasons why we're hosting the Light is because there's not a lot of things due past 9 p.m.
There it is.
In the evening, right? And most of these events are happening from 6 to 9 p.m. And after it's done, it's like, okay, I still have energy.
We used to pop that amphitheater, the movie theaters down there.
There's so much potential. There's so much to be realized. And we're slowly but surely realizing that. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw that on their algorithm, that Stockton survey.
Yeah.
And one of those questions is about a food hall or activating the first floor of the arena parking lot. Like, I passed by there today and I'm like, this is such opportunity. Look at all this parking.
The parking lot on the side is opportunity to just have a pop-up.
Like, go have dinner there real quick or go shopping there or something, and then go to a game or an event that's happening there after. Or whoever's staying at that hotel knows there's something right there around the corner.
Exactly.
But
just being creative and also having a space for creatives to come forth and share their creativity and their talents. So when we're talking about politics, we're also seeing it seep into those that are for the for-profit and for the nonprofit world. And there's, I believe, a scarcity mindset that puts us in an isolative place where we're not congruently working together.
Yeah, there's definitely a gap between those two sectors. I'm lucky enough to be in Huddle where I'm surrounded by nonprofits.
Intersected too.
Definitely intersected. I'm surrounded by nonprofits every single day here, but Huddle is actually spearheading a regranting program through iHub San Joaquin, which is in partnership with the San Joaquin Partnership and all these other great organizations within the region, where we're granting dollars to local small business incubators so that they can actually provide the services that they need. But that's only like a little bit of a band-aid of what these organizations need. There has to be more dollars coming down the pathway to these individuals, because capital, when we did the research over COVID, is the highest need within our small business community.
It's the highest need in Black and brown businesses. 100%. Let's just talk about it in women-owned businesses.
There's definitely an opportunity there.
And there is still some discrimination and practices of undoing the diversity, equity, the inclusion, and I think about the Woman Fund by the Black Woman Fund, who are now being sued for trying to collaborate and have funding specifically for women of color. And again, it's so twisted in my mind because we're already at a disfranchised point to continue to attack and say, you're not including others. There are so many other funding source points for individuals to get funding. I just think about that's the same spirit behind anytime we had a Black city or a Black town that was, and a lot of you don't know, and again, bringing up Juneteenth, those slaves that were freed down south went to many areas in the North and the Midwest and started Black towns. And after they were freed, they brought their trade, they brought their commerce, and they brought their ingenuity and built those towns. And white practitioners of taking land from indigenous folks, they have burnt their towns down or filled them with water. And it's about 128 towns in the United States that have been filled with water, been burnt down, and there hasn't been a free enterprise of a Black Wall Street or a Black town where it was thriving. So to hear about that
made me think of Tulsa when I learned about that Black Women's Fund being unconstitutional and discriminatory. It's like when Black folks, Black women especially, are building their own table instead of trying to find a seat at somebody else's. it gets shot. And they were trying to do it the right way. Right? How many other tables that are specifically for white folks and all these back rooms have been happening for years and weren't doing it the right way?
Come on.
Right? So right when I found out that it didn't get approved or it got labeled discriminatory, I was like, another table being burnt.
Another table being burnt. And it's intentional because a lot of people don't know within this corporation, there are laborers that are identified, and there has to be the lesser person that they see as a laborer. And when I talk about the corporation, I'm talking about the United States as a corporation. There must be a labor market that does not allow to exceed certain surpass of capital that they want to see.
It's called the
right.
You're doing way too much.
You're doing way too much, right?
You're getting too close to what
you're getting too close. And again, a lot of times the history has been whited out. We built it anyway, right? But don't get credit. And so I try to stay focused, knowing that I have that in the back of my head when I see it happening. Even when I go into spaces, as much as vibrant as I am, my nails are still a topic versus my intellect.
So I love how you brought up your appearance, right? Because this is how I dress when I walk into rooms all the time. And you nudge me in a bit like, what you wearing, boy? But I'm a part of my internal, my moral compass is if I walk into a room full of suits and they don't want to mess with me because the way I look on the outside, it says more about them than it does me.
It does.
Right? Because you're judging my book by my cover. Right? But there's those few individuals who come and be like, hey, what's up? What's your name? I'm like, my name's so-and-so. This is what's going on. And then I tell them all that I do. They're like, oh shit. Shit. And they're like, you need to meet so-and-so. I'm like, all right.
And that's how it is when you really can understand an actual leader and someone with the social power and the collateral power that you have. I never want you to second guess that. You have that political pull, that social pull that's needed to organize and push individuals. And just going back to that discriminatory, a lot of times we pass angels up all the time because we're often looking at how you want them to present themselves. Again, we're working in a patriarchal government that has a certain persona that needs to be maintained in business. And I tell people all the time, listen to my words in my mouth. I gotta put the girls up sometime too. Because the girls they can't pay attention to any words that are coming out of my mouth if I got a blouse that's drooping lower than what it should be at corporate level. But I get it all the time, like I said, with my nails. It's your fault.
Because
it's my fault.
Worn something
and I'm like, I've been born with these big old titties. Like there's nothing I can do.
Show up in your full grace, in your glory,
and again,
in your light.
We're not there yet in American society.
I'm all about a matriarchal society. We know what it's like to be a patriarchal society and to have men at the helm. I think it's about time women ran the helm. That's why I'm so excited about this next race, because there's an opportunity for all women and queers to be on the council.
Listen,
right? And I would love to see.
That's going to be scary for some people.
It's okay. It's been scary for all of us for a really long time.
But you ever notice whenever in society, in humanity, when we need to recreate ourselves, is done with the feminine spirit? Did you know that?
I feel it.
The masculine, it sometimes runs and hides. I won't say that out loud.
Oh, the masculine is what's happening with the wars, you know, and they're saying it with their chests and they want to win, all of that, you know. The feminine and the matriarchal society, or the mentality and consciousness, is community and nurturing and healing and taking care of each other and making sure all the little ones are thriving and fed and not trying to make money off of each other.
And that's what we've seen during the social movements that built the social. I think of the civil rights movement as the last largest movement. It was the woman that we hardly ever were talked about, but they were behind the movement.
Yes.
We think about the Black Panther Party and how the women were behind that. So, you know, I'm taking my time with really learning to love myself in this moment, because it's been hard. It's been hard
society
to get
tells
attacked.
You to hate yourself so that you can buy our product.
Right. I'm not buying my product. I stopped perming my hair 25 years ago.
And I love it too.
And, you know, I wear my curls. I wear it proud. It's funny because shout out to Fred Shield. He's like, every time I see you, you look different. I'm like, hell yeah.
And he has beautiful hair too.
Right? He got beautiful hair. Yeah, and if I want to wear a lace front, a wig down to my ankles, and some braids and some shells in it too, you bet not saying I might wear a Rick James wig on you. Don't play with me. When you see me, you better say hello, RC, right? But that's how we express ourselves. I express myself with my nails and the colors that I wear.
What is part of being the leader? You're
right.
Like how you show up in the world is there's some trust that comes along with that, and ultimately you're letting everybody know, like, hey, this is how I serve myself. This is how, if this is any indication of how I can serve my community,
there it is.
Then I hope you can trust that.
And it's so scary for some people because even my own, a lot of people be like, "That's so ghetto." What's ghetto? What is ghetto? What is the definition that you've learned was ghetto?
Only Black people who should be using that. Anybody outside of that diaspora is derogatory.
It's derogatory and it's racist. I love it.
So check yourselves if you're not Black and you're using the word ghetto.
Wow. Yeah. And
I'm like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by
that? But I sit there and have a conversation with them.
Yeah. I want to go back to like women who lead and serve. I had the opportunity to a couple of years ago to hang out with Senator Susan Eggman.
Yes, she's one of my favorite senators.
We actually went to the Jewish festival.
Yes,
it was me, her, and I think Miguel Guillen, Stockton, CA.
Okay, hey.
And I had the opportunity to ask her, I was like, so why did you get into politics and why do you still do it? And simple answer was, I love to serve.
Wow,
I love to serve. And in a nutshell, I'm like, I understand that, being able to realize your gifts and that you get to use your gifts to serve your community that way. Senator Eggman, I haven't forgot about that. Thank you so much for that. I hold that to like really, really close to my heart. And it's kind of what my silent mantra that I have whenever I'm about to step into a room or do a huge project. I say, no, this is not about me. This is about the community that I'm about to serve. This is about the community that's going to benefit positively from this. So
I love it.
Shots out.
Shout out to.
We'll love some bread too.
Yes, we love some bread. We got to have you on the podcast because I have an intimate story with Miss Senator Susan Eggman. A lot of people, I never told this story, so this will be the first time I tell this story. I through my AA. Playing women's basketball at Delta College, I worked at Dillard's. And this is when Dillard's came. Dillard's came here, and it was like a very high end. We had to wear pantyhose and heels. And I worked in like the high end departments where they had all of the high end designers. And here comes Miss Susan Talamantes Eggman coming in there with wifey. And was like, I need to be dressed in something. And I was like, I got you.
Okay.
Dressed her from head to toe, but she don't remember.
Okay, personal stylist.
Right. And a lot of people don't know that I was a personal stylist at Dillard's for a very long time. I picked out people's outfits, and I'm talking about high-end women that I dressed, and she was one of them. And I've never got a chance to tell her that story. I hope she's watching now. But I remember her impression. And she said, yeah, I got an important event. I need to look really nice. And I remember picking her out a very nice pantsuit. Nice. But, it's those stories where you have historical woman like herself, who's also a social worker. Yeah. She's one of the reasons why I went into social work. Nice. Yeah. See, it's those small little impressions. You never know who's watching you of that next generation. And look at me now, being charged with taking up that mantle and going forth and being one of the young organizers and activists here. And I call myself an activist. People are scared to say that, but I'm going to get activated about the causes that are dear to the community that I serve and that I love. Yeah. And so it touches back to how we show up in spaces, how we love, how we tell the truth, how we connect. Now, I want to know, I'm trying to see if there is someone backstage. Is there anyone backstage that came okay, we need to see if they're going to introduce themselves. My screen came off here. Let me see if we can get our backstage staff here to help with turning on this screen so we can see who actually came on. And I think I need to, it timed out, but we wanted to see who came on here. Who's on with us? Let's see. Do you want to unhook it for me, Moses? And then I will put my fingerprint on there to unlock it. Who's on? Just unhook it and hand it to Maddie. I want to see who's on live. Who's going to tune in with us? We need to be able to see you. I absolutely love it. Let's see. Are they there? Okay, we should be able to hear them. Hello. Hi. Are we live? Who's there?
Well, let's see. Can you see?
Okay. Yes, I can see you. I think I'm turning on the video now. I want to make sure that I can see you. It's coming up here now. Hello, Michelle. Hi. Oh my goodness, what a privilege. We have to turn it down. How are you? How are you? Just mute the button there. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're here. Oh, so you came on to be with us. Listen.
Yes.
What is this guy? Tell us about this guy. How's this
Me
guy?
tell you about Maddie?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Maddie Eggman. One of the very first community organizers I met in Stockton when I moved here a year and 4 months ago. Someone who has poured into me so many times love and support and celebration for being vocally and vulnerably myself as a woman of trans experience. And I'm really self-conscious on my camera right now. That's why I had the camera off, because I was like, I'm not like done up. But as just being me in the space, so you were talking about the light a lot. I've been there the last couple months, and a space that I feel really safe to be, fully dolled up in myself. Just someone who I love a lot. I've been to a dinner with Maddie in their home, and yeah.
I love it. I'm so glad that you feel safe space. And I was just telling Maddie that when coming into this space, you feel it exactly when you come through these doors. And a part of that is because Maddie allows this place to live. Again, the trees, the plants, everybody kill over until Maddie comes back. But it's a spirit of really both father and mother. It's a divine masculine and feminine spirit that dwells here and heals all people. Want to thank you so much for coming on, Michelle.
Thank you for the kind words. Right back at you. All the things that you said just now, and just a mirror reflecting back at you. So thank you for all that you do. How does this work? Like, you just want to like say something, or do you have a question, or do you just want to like pop on and just?
Well, I was just being here to support. I love you both a lot. So I was like, yeah, just get show up. I was thinking this is like literally the antithesis of what I imagine like people who hop on like Fox News to like hear really conservative stuff. Like my love and I have just been like eating our dinner, and then like we had like watermelon with lime, and I was just eating it and like hearing all of like organizing positivity. I was like, this is good.
Right. And that's what we do here at the Pruned Tree, because I go live like this for a reason, because the authenticity is needed right now. Everything is always staged. Everything always has to be perfect. And that's not how I show up sometimes. When we talk about the pruning, you got to be real.
I really love this. And I even love the analogy and the metaphor of prune tree.
Yes.
In order for us to grow, we need to, let go of the baggage, let go of the past, let go of the things that are keeping us from growing.
Yes.
And
we need to tell our testimonies of the growth and the process. See, everybody always want to talk about the finished product. I'm not a finished product. I'm always healing. I'm always learning how to grow, how I show up in different spaces. And that needs to be shared with other people who are trying to learn themselves too. As young elders, and we're going to say we're young elders, Michelle, from your generation. It's time for us now to walk into that calling and actually connect and support those that are coming up, especially those that may be lost, that need engagement, and they need that tutorship. We had it.
we had it. There are so many times where I felt lost. I didn't understand where my path was, and it wasn't until I finally surrendered, and released the control of what I thought my life was supposed to be, and let life unfold for me. My only responsibility in this world is to be in flow and let life happen and go through this life like a child with awe and wonder.
There it is. Woo! Ain't nothing to say after that. Lord, you need to write a book, Maddie. Michelle, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you. And happy Pride Month to you. We will be seeing you soon, darling.
Yeah. Can I ask Maddie one question? Or no,
yes,
if I need to, I can tell you. Okay. Maddie, in your life over the last 10 years of community organizing, when you have dealt with having to be confrontational or aggressive and people do pushback for that, what do you do? How do you advise young community organizers such as myself when dealing with issues like that?
Excellent question. When you're doing work in the community, there's always going to be adversity and barriers to get over. And sometimes those barriers are human beings that don't like what you're doing. I've been dragged through the mud by local poets before. I have been ostracized. Yeah, I've been ostracized from communities before. I have been, even coming into all of this work, I had a huge X on my back. But through it all, I knew that my purpose was higher than how people perceived me. And anyone along this path, if they felt threatened by me or didn't like I was doing or couldn't control me, 10 times out of 10, they're no longer in my life anymore. They exited themselves out of my life. And I will always say that I don't chase, I attract. What belongs to me will simply find me with ease. And I belong in every room that I find myself in. And the ones I don't find myself in, I don't belong in those. So there's no need for me to ever have FOMO or feel left out. So I tend to, in the past, I tend to hold on to things I think I'm supposed to be a part of. But now I've learned to be in flow and let things go that I know don't belong to me anymore. And I take with me the lessons that I was supposed to take with me. And anything that I'm experiencing right now, I know is preparing me for the next journey, right? And there was a whole life I lived before this huddled journey that I'm on, but it prepared me for who I needed to be now. So I inspire you and I invite you to look at all of the lessons that you've learned in this moment and all the adversity that you have faced, and know it's not you, but there's something that you must learn from this, because whoever you're dealing with in the moment right now, how you deal with it, life is going to invite you to deal with that same energy again in the future. And once you get through this, you'll know how to handle them.
There it is. Come on, spoken like a real genius on emotional healing, emotional wellness. We thank you. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
Of course.
We love you. We'll see you later. So next we have an extra guest here. I guess everybody loves you. It better not be no baby mama. I'm pulling her hair. No, I'm just playing. Go ahead. Let's see who's on here that's coming up.
I am a mama, but me and Maddie.
Oh my God!
I just, of course, I'm gonna pop up if I'm asked to be there for Maddie. I am going to be there, and most especially for Rebel Ray right here. I just want to say thank you to both of you, such community leaders that I have. I love Stockton because of the two of you, of course, first, but you two have really shown so much passion and love for your city and the way that you show up for your community and for people. I always share this, that you're at the right time, at the right place with the right people. And I truly believe that, Maddie, of course, you're such a authentic connector. You love to share love. You're just a giver, a community, community service at its finest. And thank you, Anika, for reminding me to show up here, because whenever Maddie says show up, you show up. Otherwise, you are going to miss out. So I just say thank you for being who you are. And of course, Rebel Ray, keep on being the rebel that you are, because I'm following your lead as well. Maddie, I'm here on your corner. No matter where you want to bring it, let's go.
Let's go.
Thank you so much, Muffet. You have been a breath of fresh air in our community, and
you introduced us.
Yeah,
I know. That's what I'm saying. Connect
and I remember the first day you came to huddle, and you were looking around, and I heard your accent. I was like, "Who is this Australian Filipina Barbie?"
Right, Barbie. Let's say it again.
And I know you and I had an instant connection, and I had that feeling of like I wasn't going to get rid of you anytime soon, and I haven't. And I love that. And just all of the support you've given me over this short time, and simultaneously seeing all of the work that you have done. Being now the president of the Fonz Museum, that's near and dear to my heart, because that's my family legacy. All of my family, that's my family's on the Filipino side, the diaspora, that's the story. So the fact that we're all in this orbit, and in this flow together, you're definitely a ride or die. So thank you.
It's meant to be.
Yes, my friend.
The universe is connecting us and making sure that we do big changes, big moves, for the good. And I always believe that the good always wins, and you are the best, great people. I'm so grateful for. So thank you.
And I love that you walk with love and God and
family,
and family, so,
elegance.
Yeah,
grace, all of that.
Maddie's the guest here on Rebel Ray. Let's praise him today, because so
this is just how we do. I
know. I love being in your table, or in the circle that you guys always keep it open.
Thank you,
you keep the door open, whether you want to be there or not be there. That door is never shut, and that's also my motto, and that's why I'm so glad to be by both of your sides.
Oh, thank you, Muffet. That was wonderful. He's gonna take that with him for the rest of the week.
Receive all of it.
Love you guys.
Love you. Thank you for coming on. Oh my goodness, I love Muffet. She's such a rock star. Oh my God, came in here just super elegant and took over. I love it. I love a powerful woman. And especially don't have to be yelling or nothing. She just poised with grace. And this is what we're doing now.
Yeah, just getting
it done. Yes, queen.
Which is an attestation of the types of human beings that are in this space. I mean, we've got you, we have Muffet, we have Tiffany Herndon.
Come on, Zinga, founder.
Yeah. We have the folks from Elevate. We have Blanca, and Brenda, Changes, all of those humans in there. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So
we love it. And so it brings us to the end of our podcast. And, with our viewers listening, and you got a lot of love. A lot of people really support you, Maddie. What is something that, and we'll end with this, what is something you want to be remembered by when it's time for you to transition and go and be with great creator? What do you want? We talk about, the legacy, what I want to be known for when I leave this earth, this earthly bound.
Well, you know me, being a leader and a servant is never about me, but I would love for folks who happen to choose to be a Stocktonian, or who are being born right now and they end up being 25 years old, and all of the work that we've done right now, and them being able to say, like, Stockton is one of the dopest, most fiscally responsible, the cheapest to buy real estate, has the best education, has leaders that are are responsible and act from a place of love, who actually care about the community. There's the city and the county are working in tandem, as well as the public and private sector. Once Stockton gets to that point, because we're on that trajectory right now, that's when I know like all of the work that I'm doing right now is all worth it. And if it happens now, great. And if it happens long after I'm gone, cool. But the fact that it's happening, whoever was part of this work right now know that I had a little bit of a hand in that.
Ooh, Ashe. And being those seed planters, we don't always see those trees grow, but being a part of the seeds. And when we're able to see the harvest one day.
And a thriving art community.
And a thriving
art community.
Yes. And we'll get to that mountaintop. I think in the words of Dr. King, that he was not going to make it to the mountaintop. But if you were to get there, with all of us, we were going to get there together. Black, white, yellow, brown, red, everybody.
Yeah, it's going to take, it's our responsibility to define what solidarity and inclusion is.
Ashe.
Because that power has been in the hands of other folks this whole entire time. But
we got to take our power back.
We got to take it back. But it's equality that we're going to seek, not revenge.
There it is.
So on this,
and please say that again, because they scared.
It's equality that we want. We want fair share, abundance versus there's enough to go around.
That's right.
We don't want revenge.
That's right.
Right? And we just want to be able to have the same opportunities and live a high quality life, because every human being deserves it.
Every human being deserves that.
RC, I just want to thank you for holding space for me and all these other community organizers that you've had on before me.
Yes.
You know, this is a very sacred space that you've created in our space.
Yes.
You know, we're in the heart of downtown. We see the beautiful sunset right now, and it just, everything is alignment. I'm in my body, and where my feet are at right now, I feel super present, and that's because of the space that you create. And I urge anybody, if Rebel Ray reaches out to you to be part of this podcast, it better be the quickest yes you've ever had.
Thank you for the plug, Maddie. You know, that's my intention, is to share our stories, because history has taught us that they get whited out.
Yeah.
So we have to be intentional in our storytelling. That is where our power lies.
Thank you for that.
Be able to tell someone else the good news that we will overcome. Ashe. And amen. This is Rebel Ray. This is Maddie. Peace.
I love you. I love you so much.
This is